We're talking about naturalistic attempts to respond to Alvin Plantinga's argument from proper function, which says this. Premise 1. If organisms have a proper function, then they must have been designed by a rational being. Premise 2. Organisms have a proper function. Conclusion, therefore organisms must have been designed by a rational being. Specifically, we're talking about premise 1 and whether atheists can ground the whole idea of proper function in something other than the intentions of an intelligent designer. Atheists use the notion of proper function all the time, but Alvin Plantinga contends that when they do that, they're being inconsistent with their own worldview. The only way for the atheist to avoid this dilemma is to find a way to ground proper function in something other than an intelligent mind. Now, last week we looked at why John L. Pollock's attempt didn't work. This week we're going to take a look at a different option, that proposed by John Bigelow and Robert Pargetter. Bigelow and Pargetter suggest the proper function of a character within an organism is the propensity of that character to instill a survival advantage within an otherwise healthy system. In other words, the heart is part of the circulatory system, right? So the proper function for it would be to pump blood, because that's what it needs to do within a healthy circulatory system in order to give us a survival advantage. Now, the caveat of it being within a healthy circulatory system is critical, because it answers the question of whether the heart is still functioning properly if, for example, a person has a severed artery. In that instance, the heart keeps on pumping, but now because of the severed artery, it's actually pumping blood out of the body, which is going to lead to death, not survival. But Bigelow and Pargetter claim the heart is still functioning properly because it would enhance survival if the other organs were performing as they do in healthy individuals. In other words, if the artery wasn't severed, the pumping heart would promote survival. Like Pollock's definition last week, we can certainly see the surface appeal here. But when we dig deeper, we find that Bigelow and Pargetter's definition begs the question. They define the proper function of any one element within an interconnected system based upon how all the other elements of that system are functioning when the system is healthy. How do they know when the system is healthy? Do you see what they've done here? They've defined the proper function of one element of the system based upon the proper function of all the other elements of the system. One element is functioning properly if it is functioning the way it does to promote survival when all the other elements are functioning properly. That's question begging. They haven't defined proper function at all. I mean, we still need to know what it means to say the rest of the elements are functioning properly. That's like saying someone is being patriotic when they behave in a patriotic way. It doesn't get us any closer to actually understanding the definition. But there's another problem. Plantinga points out that Bigelow and Pargetter also overlook systems or organs whose function is damage control or repair, healing for example, or troubleshooting. These systems properly come into play only when there is loss of proper or healthful function elsewhere. In other words, the proper function of these systems only comes into play when other parts are not healthy. Under Bigelow and Pargetter's definition, we'd have to say these systems are functioning improperly when they step in to repair the human body, and that's obviously wrong. So in the end, naturalists have consistently failed to define proper function as anything other than the intentions of an intelligent mind. But if that's true, and if we concede that organisms have a proper function, which we must in order for science to even make sense, then we're stuck with the conclusion that organisms have an intelligent designer. Now, next week, we're going to look at a new argument for the existence of God, one that dates back all the way to St. Anselm of the 11th century, the ontological argument. That's going to be a fun one, so I hope you can join us then. God bless.